I have two quick stories about this question. There was only one thing that David ever asked me to do that I said, no way. And it was in Fire Walk with Me in one of the bedroom scenes of Laura's, where I had to, Laura's father came into the room, and then Bob came into the room. So you have to remember, I had to do a lot of scenes 2 or 3 times with different actors, over and over and over. Because also sometimes we had to fool the crew. The crew wasn't supposed to know the story. So I did the scene with Ray, and I did the scene with Bob. And then David said, we have to do the scene one more time. And I said, well, with who? Because it's a scene where Laura's in bed and she's, going through the hell that she goes through. And he said, well, it's coming in right now. And I said, and I just felt my blood turn cold. I knew that there was something that I was not going to want to be doing. And we were on the sound stage, and we were on the 2nd level, and we looked out over, and I saw these crew guys carrying something in a big white sheet, and it was the head of a pig. And he said, now you're going to do the scene with this. And I said, nope, I'm not. No, I'm not. And he looked at me and said, really? Why? Not gonna happen, David. No way. No amount of money, nada. And thank God for our dear DP who saved my ass that day and said it would actually be dangerous for her to do that because it could fly off and hit her in the head and the camera could bump her head and she could, and then David said, oh, okay, well, never mind, just shoot it with, And so that's the first story of the challenging things, but I didn't do it with the pig. God rest his soul. But I think the scene ended up in the movie, right? Just not with me actually in it. And then the second thing is, and this is a little bit of how David works, there was the scene in Fire Walk with Me in the staircase where I come up the stairs and there's a fan spinning and Bob starts talking to me. And I was doing the scene and we have these compasses within us as actors, like your instincts or your sixth sense, that can help you find the truth or the voice of that character. And we have these little buttons over here that are like our bullshit detectors. And mine was going, and I kept doing the scene, and my, alarm is going off, and I kept getting more and more and more frustrated with myself, and it's just me by myself hearing voices. And I was just in this downward spiral creatively because I kept saying to David, I can't find the truth. Something's missing, something's not right, I feel like I'm lying. And he said, no, it's fine. But I said again, no, I feel like I'm lying, and it's painful. And so he says, let's take a break. You go in your trailer and meditate for 20 minutes, and I'll go in my trailer and meditate for 20 minutes, and then we'll talk about what we discovered. And the scene was rewritten after we each took our break and we reconvened and talked about what we had discovered. And the fact that he had the ability to respect the creative process, not just mine, but the creative energy of the film, knowing that there's a bigger energy, a creative force that's bigger than any of us, that's bigger than the writer, bigger than the director, but it's a story and it's up here, and we gotta grab it and figure out how to tell it. And he honored that and listened to that. And so even in those moments when it was so hard, it became this great discovery. And I've always taken that with me when that detector goes off, rather than feeling ashamed that I can't find it as an actor, but to really remember the moment that he gave that force.
Well, I didn't have anything technically difficult that I had to do that was physically, challenging or anything, but I do remember a scene that was cut from the series that I did with Dr. Jacoby. And in that scene, it was revealed that Audrey had shoved Johnny down the stairs. Now, Johnny was mentally challenged, and to process the fact that my dear daughter was the cause of his brain injury was difficult to, just even tell the doctor and go through that. And of course, that scene was not in the movie. It's too bad because it would have given Audrey a little more character that she would have had to process too as an actress, that she was responsible for that. So that was an interesting scene to work on.
Okay, we're going to do one last question, then we're doing a 10-minute break, and it goes to Amy.
Hi, I just had a quick question for Sheryl about the photograph of you as the homecoming queen that we see in the ending credits, and we see it throughout the show in the Palmer home and the trophy case in the high school, and it's just such an iconic image in the show, and it constantly reminds the audience of your presence even in the episodes you don't appear in. And I was just wondering if the directors were present when that photo was taken, or like what the whole process was for, did somebody just take a series of 20 shots of you and they picked one, or what was kind of the process for producing that?
That's a great question, and I wish I had a good answer. I have no memory of that photo being taken, none. It's not, I never was a prom queen, believe me, I could never have been a prom queen. So it was a setup for the show. I have memories as clear as day of the dead photo because David placed the pieces, the grains of sand on my forehead. He did it. He folded the plastic exactly the way that he wanted it. And he put the water in the sand around. He told them this little inch right here doesn't really look dead. You need to, work with this inch right here. He was such a painter, and like Sherilyn was talking about earlier so beautifully, he had this way of, even though it might seem like he was giving us direction about something that didn't have to do with anything, he was actually painting us into his canvas. He's a wonderful painter, but he really was. He was like painting a mood. Donna and I would be doing a scene in the diner in the cold in Seattle at that time period, and he'd go, okay, it's 1952, and it's summer, and it's hot, really, really hot. And here we're drinking coffee. You're drinking chocolate shakes. And our boyfriend, James or whoever, is riding up on a motorcycle, and he's riding up in a red Corvette, or what, action. But you realize he has just painted you into a mood. He's taken you into this place, and it's absolute alchemy how he does it. It's incredible. So I'm so sorry I can't remember that, which probably means he wasn't there, because if he was, I'd remember it. But it's obviously a very specific look. So I would imagine that there were many hands in exactly how that hairstyle and crown was done.